Boy, you know you make me float. Boy, you really give me high. Ooh, I feel like I'm on dope, 'cause you.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Life Rolls On. If you're watching, God bless you. If you subscribe, God bless you. Thank you so much for being part of my journey. Once again, my name is Rosemond, but everyone calls me Rose. Whichever you call me, I'll answer. And today, as you can see, I'm wearing my scrubs. So we're going to be talking about how I became a registered nurse. You know, this is an anticipated video. It was a very rough and long journey to get where I am today. And I made this video a little bit to, have someone have faith in God, because it was all by the grace of God that I'm here today as an RN. It was not easy. I'm not going to pretend that it was easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that nursing school was a breeze. It wasn't. And so I wanted to do this video to tell you guys a little bit about my journey, how I got here, and some recommendations as to what to do. So if you're watching this, please like, comment, subscribe, and also share, and let's get started. Okay, so years ago, I wanted to be a medical doctor, believe it or not. I wanted to be a doctor. I always wanted to be a pediatrician because I love children. I love kids so much. I love talking to kids. I love being around kids. So I knew I wanted to be a pediatrician. And so I was a pretty gifted kid growing up, but a lot of things happened that, it wasn't my fault. A lot of traumatic things. And so I became very mentally ill. I had a lot of mental health issues that I would simply ignore, but it got a little worse. And so my career of being a pediatrician, or my interest of being a pediatrician, kind of died down. So I got into college. I went to a 4 years institute, and I went through a lot in college. I went through a lot. Not more so of like relationship or friendships, but just a lot of spiritual attacks, a lot of spiritual warfare, and more of my mental health issues going crazy in college. And college, you experience a lot of things, you see a lot of things, you're around a lot of things, and quite frankly, I was doing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to be doing, only because I was trying to hide my mental health issues as well as numb the pain. Okay, so I was drinking, I was an alcoholic, I was smoking, I was doing all these things that I'm not supposed to do. And my relationship with God was very weak. It was very, very, very weak. And that is because I was at a point where I was angry with God, I was angry with life, I was angry with everyone, I was angry with myself. So once you get to that point, you just give up on life, okay? So I was going through a lot in college. My grades were not the best because of everything that was going on around me. I wasn't really focusing. I wasn't really doing what I'm supposed to do. And, my career of wanting to be in the medical profession wasn't doing so well. Quite frankly, I remember when I was talking to my advisor at the time at the 4-year institute, and I was in the biology track at the time. Actually, at first, let's backtrack. I was in pre-med at the time. And then I changed to biology because I was not doing well in pre-med. So I went into biology, and when I was talking to my advisor, I really remember when my advisor said that, Rosemond, I don't think you will ever get into any medical profession. Yep. He told me that in my face. He was like, I don't think you can get into any medical profession. Maybe you'll be a biology teacher, but I don't think you can, go to medical school, nursing school, blah, 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 blah. And, that was my wake-up call, okay? When he said that to me, it put something in my head, okay? It made me realize, Rosemond, you need to wake up, you need to get back into prayer, and you need to work hard and graduate and do something with yourself and prove to him that, hey, so and so, I'll make it. So when he said that to me, I was like, okay. At the time I was a sophomore and my grades weren't terrible, but it wasn't the best. So when he said that to me, I started working hard. I was still partying, doing all I gotta do, and, still into the world. But I pushed myself so that I can graduate. So I worked hard, and I graduated in 2019. And I started a medical assistant job. Actually, before my medical assistant job, I started as a medical scribe. And that was actually the first portal, or the first door, I would say, that opened me into the medical profession. So I became a medical scribe at a gynecology office, and quite frankly, I loved it. The pay was terrible. The pay was very, very bad. But I loved it because it made me understand, rapport between a doctor and a patient. Where I was working at was gynecology, oncology. So we dealt with a lot of women who came in with diagnosis of cancer, or who had a procedure to take out a tumor, or who was just coming in with symptoms that they just wanted to figure out what is going on with me. So I was a medical scribe where I would write down what the doctor is saying, and it was a lot of editing, a lot of tedious work, and the pay just wasn't cutting it. So I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. And while I was working, my car broke down, and so I had to quit because I had no way of getting to work. Transportation wasn't really doing well at that time, from my house to where I was working. And I wasn't getting paid enough to use Uber all the time to work, y'all. So I had to essentially quit. And just to be transparent, because I told you that this platform, I'm going to be very transparent and keep it real with y'all. I was getting paid I think $8, $9 at the time. That wasn't doing anything. And my hours was based on the doctor's hours. So the doctor wasn't working every single day. He was working, I think every 3 days of the week. So I wasn't really getting paid nothing, y'all. But let me tell you guys, this doctor was phenomenal. We had a conversation, and he spoke to me. He was like, Rose, what do you want to do with yourself? Why are you a scribe? What do you want to do? And when he asked me that question, I was just like, why is he asking me this question? It was very odd. But it made me realize that everything happens for a reason, because that question and that conversation that he had with me pushed me into applying into nursing school. So he asked me, he was like, Rose, what do you want to do with yourself? Why are you a medical scribe? I said, well, I wanted to be a medical doctor, but I've gone through so much. I've done so much. I haven't been my best. So I want to do something else. And he was like, you're very good. You're very educated. You're very knowledgeable. Why don't you try nursing school? And I was like, but I've already got my bachelor's degree in biology. So how can I get into nursing school? Then he told me that there was something called an accelerated program, where it's a nursing school for students that already have their bachelor's degree, but it's a high, fast-paced program where you graduate earlier and you can transfer your courses that you've taken before to the school. So I was like, whoa, because y'all, I'm a first-generation student. I'm gonna tell y'all about that a little bit later in my other videos, but I'm a first-generation student. I didn't know anything about this. So this was all new information for me. So when he told me that, I was like, okay, doc, thank you. I'll look into it. And then the nurse practitioner that was in the office was so kind to me. It was a very lovely place. She told me that if I ever need a letter of recommendation, I should let her know. She'll write it in a heartbeat for me. The doctor also said he will write it for me. So they were all very supportive. So I had to leave the job, unfortunately. So I was not able to get the letter of recommendation because the doctor was very busy and we lost contact. So fast forward, I went into a private practice. And y'all, this is when so many things happen. So many things. I went into a private practice that was an allergy clinic, and I was a medical assistant. And there were so many things that happened. The manager wasn't so kind to me. Mind you, I was a hard worker. I always showed up to work on time. I did what I need to do, and I was probably the last person to leave all the time. And it was just a lot of stuff going on that wasn't worth the money. I was only getting paid $10 an hour, and it just was not cutting out. I mean, the pay was, I would just keep going into terrible pay. But if you notice, there's a pattern where I was getting a little bit more. So I got like $2 extra more. Sure, I'll take it. So while I was working there, I was still applying to jobs because I was like, no, I need a decent job where I can get financial help with going to school, and I can learn a lot more about the nursing profession and medicine in general. So as I was working as a medical assistant, I was looking at different jobs as well as starting my application process. So one day, COVID happened. Okay, COVID was really bad. We all know how COVID was. It was a terrible time. Everybody was getting sick. It was just an awful time, and it was a very sad and depressing time. And I was still working in this clinic, and we started doing COVID tests at the clinic for patients that came in. And one day, the manager had accidentally left this pay thing on the paper, and I went into the office to grab something, and the paper was right up there. And long story short, I found out that the other medical assistant was getting paid $15 more than me, y'all. $15 more. So that means this person was making $25 an hour, and I was getting paid $10 an hour, y'all. When I saw that, I cried because I was like, I'm coming here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., working my butt off, doing what I can, and I'm getting paid so bad. And I knew that at least give me $15 an hour, but to give me $10 and give someone $25 an hour, it's insane. It's insane. So I got quiet. I didn't say anything. I said I wasn't going to talk. I was just going to apply to different jobs, as well as I'm applying to nursing school, get myself together to leave. So I applied to a hospital. I applied as a clinical technician, and that's kind of like a position where you're working hand in hand with not only the doctor but also a nurse. The nurse is giving you tasks and duties to do, and you're doing a lot of patient care. So I applied for the hospital, and the pay that the hospital was giving before COVID got really, really bad was just not that good. So I held it off a little bit, and I waited, and I reapplied again when COVID really, really got bad, and the pay got better. So y'all, look at my time frame. I started with about $8 an hour and $9 an hour, went to $10 an hour, and now the next pay was $17 an hour, okay? To me, that was heaven on earth at the time. So I took the position, and I was applying to nursing school still at this medical assistant job. And I won't even lie to y'all, that process was hard, okay? It was hard. I was not getting into any school. Granted, I knew what I was up against because my grades weren't bad, but they were not the best. I'm not going to pretend and sit here that they were the best. They were not the best because I let my mental health get the best out of me. I was not doing well. And so it affected me in college, and now it affected me when I was applying to nursing school. But when COVID got really bad, I think my relationship with God got really good. I was praying every single day. I was reading my word. I got some kind of faith in God that was stronger. And I told God, I was like, God, there's a reason why you've always wanted me to be in medicine. There's a reason why I've always wanted to be in medicine. And if it is your will, let your will be done. That's what I always told God when I was applying and doing all these applications. And so I applied about to 4 different schools, and 3 of them rejected me. But this particular school, y'all, I actually wrote a little bit about myself. You know, when you're applying, they usually ask for like a personal essay telling a little bit about yourself. Just for the people whose grades are not that good. At least for this school, I can't speak for every school, but the school was like, you know, tell a little bit about yourself, you know, what's going on, why weren't your grades the best, that kind of stuff. So I did a personal essay. And my personal essay, I was talking about the time that I was in Ghana and I got really sick. And I will make a story time about that later. And I got really sick, and long story short there, I met a nurse there who took care of me, loved me, and made sure I was okay to leave the hospital. And so I talked a little bit about that and talked about why I love nursing, my passion, my experience, what I've noticed so far, what I want to do in the future. And when I applied to this nursing school, I received a call that they had rejected me. So that was 4 schools that had rejected me. I was a little bit down, but I didn't give up. And that evening after work, I prayed. I was like, Lord, I don't know what to do at this point. I know my grades weren't the best. It's nobody's fault but my fault. And Lord, let your will be done. Have your way. I have faith that I'll get into nursing school. I have faith that I'll be a nurse one day. I have faith that I'll make a difference. And even if it's not in nursing, I will make a difference regardless. That was my prayer the night before, y'all. And mind you, this was a Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm at work, you know, doing what I got to do. And it was around 12 p.m. I was going for break. And I got a phone call, and it was the advisor that I was working with for my application. And let's call her Stella. She was like, hi, Rose. I was like, hey, Stella. I thought I was rejected. Like, what's up? What's going on? She was like, they read your personal essay and they looked at your experience and everything, and they want to give you a chance. They want to give you a chance, and they want to accept you into the program and see how well you would do. Y'all, I was quiet on the phone. I did not say anything. I didn't know what to say because I was like, I literally prayed the night before. That's insane. So I thanked her. I was like, thank you. And all I said on the phone was, this could only be God. I don't know if she was a Christian. I don't know her religion background, but all she did was laugh on the phone. And I was just like, this could only be God. So I hung up the phone. I was in tears. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to nursing school. Like, this is insane. And you know, I also had that clinical tech position job that I told you that I accepted the offer. So I put my 2 weeks in for this job, and the manager wasn't happy. And that is when she decided to have a conversation about pay increase with me. And I was like, no, absolutely not. You didn't want to pay me when I was working, and you're not about to pay me now that I'm about to leave. And so it was a lot of welfare there at that job. They were being very rude to me. They were just being so nasty to me because I put my 2 weeks in, told me that my nursing school wasn't real and blah, blah, blah. Like, y'all, they was mean. And so I did what I had to do, and, I finally left that job. And y'all, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. When I started my clinical tech position job, I was working night shift and I was going to nursing school at the time. It was the hardest thing I ever did. Nursing school is not easy. I don't care who's going to tell you that. Maybe it'll be easy for some people, but for me, it was not easy. I still had to work full time, so I was working 3 days a week, night shift, while going to nursing school. And I remember I would be on the webcam because at the time it was still COVID, so we had to do things virtually. And I remember I'll have my camera on, and y'all, I'll be falling asleep. I'll be like, I was literally falling asleep because I was working night shift, and when I get off at 6:30 a.m., I was getting ready for school. It was not easy. But I worked hard. When I had break, I would go write my essay, or I would go study for an exam. If I had clinicals, I will make sure my schedule was not interfering with my clinical schedule. I was doing things to make it work, and I proved myself that I can get into nursing school and I could finish. And so the whole time I was in nursing school, I was praying to God every single day, and I was asking for strength because my mental health was still not the best. It was still not the best, and I was doing what I can because I wanted to pull myself from the darkness and go into light and acquire my dreams as a nurse. So I worked, and I did it. And by the grace of God, I finished nursing school, and I had to take my NCLEX. And, that was a whole nother story in itself. My mother actually got very sick during the time I had to take my NCLEX. And let me tell you something, guys. When your breakthrough is coming, things like this will happen. And when it happens, please don't give up on yourself. Because I felt like when every good thing was coming my way in my nursing career, something crazy would happen and I would kind of have to draw myself back. And so when I had registered my day for my NCLEX, my mom actually got sick the following day, where we had to take her to the emergency room, and she had sepsis. And sepsis is a very, very bad infection in the blood where if care is not taken, essentially you can lose your life. It's very life-threatening. And my mom had it. And so she had to be in the hospital. By the grace of God, nothing happened to her. She just had to get a procedure done and have some antibiotics. But it was a very stressful time for me because I was sleeping in the hospital with my mom all while I was preparing for my NCLEX. And I remember my friends, my nursing friends, we were in a group chat, and they were like, Rose, you sure you don't want to reschedule? Like, it's okay. Like, focus on your mom. I was like, no, y'all. I want to take this NCLEX, and I want it to be a testimony one day that even when there's a storm, God will make it happen. And they had faith in me. They prayed with me, and my mom also prayed with me. Even though she was sick, she was like, my child, go and take that NCLEX. Everything will be fine. So I went to go and take my NCLEX, and I was so nervous. I honestly didn't study enough because I was so exhausted. I was thinking about my mom. I was worried about my mom. So I did not study enough. I studied, but I felt like it wasn't enough. So I went to go and take my NCLEX, and I walked out because I had to do the full 150 questions. I know the professor said that some people will have to do the full 150 because when the new NCLEX had came on, I was one of the cohorts that had to take the new one, and some people would have to take the full 150 questions as I think a survey or something like that. I don't know. And Lord and behold, I was one of those people. I had to take the full 150. So when I walked out of there, I called my friend. I was like, I think I failed. I failed. There's no way I passed. I had to do the full 150. Some people are getting cut off at 85. Some are getting cut off at 75. But me, Rosemond, I had to do the full 150. And my friend was like, God is in control. Don't worry. You pass. Just have faith. So even though my faith was small, I still had some faith that maybe I did pass. But my biggest priority at the time was my mom. So I went back to the hospital because that whole week I was sleeping in the hospital with my mom. And so I went there and I went to sleep. The next morning, my nursing friends sent me a screenshot of my name on the Board of Nursing website. And I was like, you are lying. Is this me? I honestly didn't believe it, y'all. I passed my NCLEX on the first try. Despite everything that was happening, despite my mother's sickness, despite not studying enough, I passed my NCLEX. And like my friend said, it can only be God. So I was yelling, I was screaming in the hospital. My mom was so excited. She was telling all the nurses and clinical techs that were there, my daughter is a nurse. It was such a good moment. And here I am now as a registered nurse. And because of my mental health issues and because of the things I went through, I love specializing in psychiatric nursing. And I will talk a little bit more about my specialties videos to come. But this is a little bit about my story, about how I became a registered nurse. And this is just words of encouragement to anyone who's looking to start a career. Please do not give up on yourself. It doesn't matter your story. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what you've done. God forgives and God forgets. So you should also forgive and forget as well. And work hard. Push yourself. It doesn't matter. Wherever you are, you can always push yourself to the limit. So push yourself and pray. Pray, pray, pray. God hears and God sees everything. I feel like if I didn't pray and if I didn't push myself and pursue my goals and have that relationship with God, I wouldn't be where I am today. So please pray. Please have faith. Don't give up on yourself. Your mental health is important. Your mental health matters. And someone like me, I care about each and every one of you. So I hope you enjoyed my story. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. My name is Rose, and God bless you all, and see you soon on the next video on Life Rose On. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if there's anything that you want me to discuss or want me to talk about, please comment down below. Thank you all, and take care. Bye.